Ruparelia also left for the United Kingdom. After arrival in the United Kingdom, he did various casual jobs. He worked in factories, in butchery, in supermarket, and also as a cab driver. So this is somebody who's coming almost from rags to the riches that he is today. After completing his A-levels, while he was also studying and working part-time, he gathered some money for himself, and he bought his very first property in 1975. The love of his life was waiting for him in 1977, and he absolutely got married to Jyoshnaben in the year of 1977. He continued to remain in England till the year of 1985. And then with $25,000 and only $25,000 in his pocket, he made his way back to Uganda. His business ventures started from beer importing, moved on to beer selling into the country, moved on from that to the Crane Forex Bureau, which he formed, which then led into the Crane Bank, of which he is an owner of. And he has absolutely many business ventures, from banking to real estate, to hospitality, to communication, to floriculture, to insurance and education, and in various other fields, and not just in one country, but globally, from Uganda to Rwanda to United Kingdom to the United Arab Emirates to Southern Sudan. And his story flows all around the globe. He was also awarded an honorary doctorate in the year 2000 in law by the Ugandan Pentecostal University. So honorary title of a doctor, Sudhir RUPARELIA, has been awarded to him. Now, at a young age of 64, he is the king of his empire, RUPARELIA Group of Companies, and above all, a very happily married man to a very lovely lady, Jyoshnaben, and a proud father to Meera, to Sheena, and to Rajiv, and a grandfather to Aries. We are humbly proud of our Lohana brother, Dr. Sudhir RUPARELIA. And let me say that there are a lot of Gujarati viewers here too today who come tuned in from all over the globe. And let me just say a few words of welcome, Sudhir bhai, in Gujarati, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine, but I will read it back in English, yeah?
Absolutely, no problem at all.
Okay.
So, just for our Gujarati people, ભાઈઓ તથા બહેનો, આજે આપણે ખૂબ ગર્વ લેવાનો સમય થાય છે કે આપણી સમક્ષ આપણા એક રઘુકુલના રઘુવંશ જે છે ભાઈ, એ એવા વિશાળ બિઝનેસના સામ્રાજ્ય છે. આવા માનવીર, આવા દાનવીર સાથે ચર્ચા કરવાનો સમય મળ્યો છે. તેમને આપણે ખૂબ તાળીઓથી વધાવી લઈએ. Everybody's whose videos are open, if they're not, open it, and please give Mr. Sudhir RUPARELIA a very warm welcome to this lovely inspirational talk on rags to riches. Sudhir bhai, before we start inviting you to give a talk, this particular event has been organized by the Nakuru Hindu Council, and the chairperson for that is Mr. Sailesh Paishet, who's here to actually warmly welcome you. And thereafter, our super lovely lady will be welcoming you, and then we'll start the program, if that's okay. So may I request our lovely Sailesh Pai, who is a very hard-working individual in Nakuru, doing a lot of Manav Seva, a lot of philanthropy work, and he is tirelessly doing this for the community, for their benefit. Mr. Sailesh Pai Shet, can we welcome him to welcome Mr. Sudhir RUPARELIA? Meenaben, if you want to unmute Sailesh Pai Shet, please. Sailesh Pai, are you ready? Okay, so we are just waiting for Sailesh Bhai to get unmuted. Sailesh Bhai, are we successful, Meena Ben?
Hello, test. Can you hear me all?
Very good. Sailesh Bhai, we are on.
Good evening to everybody. Lalit Bhai, Meena Ben, nice to see you back again on Zoom. A very, very warm welcome to Dr. Sudhir RUPARELIA from Uganda. We are indeed privileged to have you as our host for today's inspirational words. Sudhir Bhai, you're staying in Uganda. I'm sure you know, of course, about the Hindu Council, because Hindu Council has been also established in Uganda as well. But just to give you a very little brief about what the Hindu Council does in Kenya. Of course, we have our headquarters, Hindu Council in Nairobi, and then we have got branches in various parts of the country, Nakuru being one of them. Nakuru is one of the very, very smallest center, but I would say that we have tried to keep it the most active throughout the country compared to any other branch. Hindu Council is the apex body looking after the well-being of all our community members within Nakuru and its environments. And we do most of the government liaisons, and we look after the cultural activities and the temple activities under the banner of the Hindu Council Nakuru body. Today is not my day to talk. Of course, it's you who we are here to listen to. But even before other people starting sending questions, I want to be the first one. Okay, I want the first question to ask you whether you were born in Uganda. I think Lalit Bhai has already answered that one. I wanted to know also about Idi Amin, what happened. Again, Lalit Bhai has already covered that topic. I wanted to know that how come being so successful, why have you not ventured into politics? That is one of my questions, because it is important with such a vast estate. If you could be taking up one of the positions, or maybe your sons would be taking up the position, it would be very important. And with such a vast empire, another feeling I'm feeling is that what sort of harassments do you get from the government departments? Because again, you know, once you become a limelight in the society, I'm sure you must be facing all sort of pressures, and it is something which you can now probably guide us, that we may be much smaller than you, but you know, this pressure is universal in all sort of Africa. Once you become an icon figure, then this sort of pressures would start coming in onto the businessmen or anybody who is well noted. So with that few remarks, maybe I'll come back during the vote of thanks. I'll add a couple of words. But thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Thank you, Lalit Bhai. Thank you, Meena Ben. And I hand over to you, Lalit Bhai.
Thank you, Sailesh Bhai, for a lovely welcome to Sudhir Bhai. And next, before we start Sudhir Bhai's talk, we have our lovely lady who tirelessly, from the town of Flamingos, as she says, from Nakuru, works on all these Zoom sessions to then appear and entertain people through the lockdown and after. Now, this is none other than our lovely, talented, multitasking lady, Meena Ben Khagram. Meena Ben, if you would like to welcome Sudhir Bhai, please.
Thank you. As you can see, my husband is right behind me. I cannot stand up. That's Ramesh. And here, Ellie, who is helping us to admit. Ellie, can you please come this side and show your face? Come. That's.
Hi, Lalit.
Hello, Ellie.
I'm good. How are you? How are you, Sudhir?
Hi. How are you?
I'm fine.
Okay, I've got a very traditional, something nice. Sudhir Bhai, there is a chanlo for you, and some chokha for you, and some aarti for you, and I have got a har, which Ramesh will offer you. Lovely day, Tulsi.
Thank you.
Yeah. And this is special for you, the Tulsi, which is very auspicious, and that's for you. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Now I will, ladies and gentlemen, can you see me?
Yes.
Gallery view. Yeah, it's okay. Hello. I'm not coming to the gallery view.
You're on the speaker's view. We can see you.
Right.
We can see you.
Yeah, you can see me. Okay, fine. Good evening, everybody. ladies and gentlemen, all parts of the world today, I would say namaste, jambo, karibuni all, and welcome to Flamingo town of Nakuru. I'm very, very excited and very proud to welcome the richest man in the whole of Africa, God, and maybe the whole of the world, Dr. Sudhir RUPARELIA. Pride to Lohana community. Sudhir Bhai, I know you for 7 days only. And I noticed some sportsmanship. The first day when we changed our poster, and you didn't even notice, you said, don't worry, the contents is there. I was so proud of you. And you're easy to work with. You have a leadership talent. You let people work as they want. Anything I ask, you are carefree to tell me yes, yes, great. And your name should be Lightning. Who is your Faiba? Praveena Gokani? She is here, right here, and she gave you the wrong number. Your name should be either Pavan or Lightning, because in a second you answer it, in a second you give all the information. Anything I say, it was right on my table. So that, and I like your humor. Every time you try to give me the jokes, different kind of jokes, I have not missed any of them. You are trying to find out which I like. I liked all of them. And something that you look with white clothes, simple, but there is something very richness in you. And that comes from Cuba. I will not tell what it is, because as I promised, I won't tell anything about it. But there you are, you have got a rich, rich test ready to find all in one, in the simplicity and in successful businessmen. Welcome again, Sudhir Bhai. Over to you. Over to you, Lalit Bhai, to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Meena Ben. Lovely welcome to Sudhir Bhai. Sudhir Bhai, before we move on, there's just a few logistics I wanted to mention. Somebody has actually posted a question on the chat box. Okay, what is the link to share this particular talk that's going live right now? Mrs. Meena Ben Khagram has shared it on her page. So if you are friends with Meena Ben, you can share her post onto your page. And this is a live streaming going on currently so that the global viewership can enjoy today's inspirational talk. Secondly, Sudhir Bhai, just a quick request. I'm sure everybody is very excited and enthusiastic about listening to what you have to say. So without taking too much time, we'd love to hear your story about from rags to riches. And you've got the stage now for about 15 to 20 minutes. Please tell us everything you want to tell us about your story, which is probably not enough for time. But then we'll have some questions that are coming up in the chat box. Anybody who wants to send questions, send them in the chat box, and then we'll ask Sudhir Bhai those questions. So Sudhir Bhai, a very warm welcome on the stage. All yours. Take it away.
Hello.
Hello, Sudhir Bhai. Yeah, you're on.
Hi. First of all, Lalit Bhai, thank you so much for the introduction. And also I want to thank Sailesh Bhai and Meena Ben, for organizing this this talk show. I've not had much opportunity to talk with Sailesh Bhai, but Meena Ben has been in touch with me, like you have. And I think we've had a very flawless communication, nothing complicated. Like we're all busy, you're on duty sometimes, and I'm also busy these days, as always. But I think we managed to get here, and I can see a lot of people, some really people I know, and I'm so thrilled that I can see them after such a long time because of COVID. We all had disappeared from each other. I can see people from London, from Jamnagar, from Kampala, Narubai, and Malini, Ruparelia, right on the seaside. So, everything looks good. And my brother-in-law and Jagdish and his wife, Arun, I can see them. Krishna Pujari is there. Ramesh Bhai, as usual. Bill Amlani is there. Saradaben Madhwani is there. Hi, Saradaben, and then, so I can see a lot of people. Also from Uganda, we have quite a few people here. And of course, I can't find...
there is a gentleman from Singapore who says hello to you. His name is Firoz Kimji.
Oh, yes. Firoz is a pilot, a Ugandan pilot. There I can see him. And of course, I can't forget my better half, who's been part of my life and the success of our group. So really, I think you've said a lot of things about my background from England. And one of the things that made me buy my first house at my young age of 19 was I'd met my wife, and I think she comes from a very conservative family. And when I used to drive a minicab for a living as part-time in England, and her family were against her dating me or going out with me. So, and I was living in a rented house. So I had to make sure that I owned my own house before I even go and propose to the family. So that was one of the incentives for me to to buy a house early when I was 19 years old. And of course, then we got married in 77, and, stayed in England for 13 years, from 1972 to 1985, did lots of various jobs, which probably helped me in molding me into the businesses I own and run. And I think in 1985, I decided to come to Uganda. One of the reasons I came was my uncle was in Uganda, and so we had a very strong link with Uganda. And as you know, Africa is either in your blood or it's not in your blood. And when I was in England, there was always something missing from me, and I couldn't, die to get back to Uganda. Of course, I came back to Uganda. Uganda was not something which was a conventional country to be in at that time. Uganda had been through a lot of civil war and unrest, and the whole infrastructure and the government system had broken down. And eventually, after two years, I started my first business in January 1987. And one of the first business I started was importing beers from Kenya, and also buying from other importers. That was my first business in Uganda. And, we started with a very small capital of $25,000. And one of the interesting things was that when I used to deal with the Ugandan business people who were also importing, and interesting is that, they would come and sell me the whole truckload, and I wouldn't have that money for them. And I'd say, okay, look, I'll give you half the money now, but you come and after 2 days at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the rest of your money would be waiting for you. And of course, living in England and also, growing under my father and my mother, our principles of keeping our word and trust was very important. So this gentleman will come after 2 days and his money will be waiting for him. And in those days, we used to have boxes full of money. There was a kind of inflationary money we had here. And then we started building trust with the local community. They started trusting us within a very short period of time. And, our business is really expanded from there onwards. For funny enough, you'd be surprised, but in 1987, we were actually earning about $10,000 a day, which is even now still good money. And then we built up reputation, name, supply chain, supply and marketing chain, and distribution. So, we built up the businesses from there. Hello?
Minabin, can we mute everybody, please? Thank you. Sorry, Sudhir bhai, for the interruption.
Hello?
Yeah,
Hi,
go
thank
ahead.
you.
Yeah.
So what happened in around 1989, the government of Uganda stopped importation of beer because the local breweries have started producing beer. So what had happened was when we were actually selling beer, we get a lot of expatriate communities, a lot of Ugandans coming to buy beer from us, but a lot of them did not have local shilling. So they would actually end up selling to me foreign exchange, and I would give them the beers, plus I give them the local shilling in exchange. So we needed foreign exchange to go and buy beer. So we built up that foreign exchange line, the chain. And around 1990, 89, when actually they stopped importation of beer, we had created a lot of contacts of buying foreign exchange. So when in 89, the beer stopped, people still kept coming to us to change money. So we moved on from the beer into foreign exchange business. And around 1990, Uganda was the second country in Africa to open up the foreign exchange bureaus. And in 1990, Trent Forex Bureau was one of our entities, which was the first Forex Bureau in Uganda licensed. And from there onwards, within 6 months, Trent Forex was doing more foreign exchange business in some of the big banks in Uganda, like Barclays, Stanbic. And in 1993, the banks created a cartel to levy heavy charges against Forex bureaus because we're doing more business than them. So we said the only way to beat them was to start our own bank. And so in 1995, we started Trent Bank. And we went to banking business. And of course, after banking, we developed real estate business. We developed hotel business. From there on was into communications, radio network, and into education. And so now we run about more than 10 hotels in Kampala and more than 300 properties in Uganda. We built up 3 schools and 1 university in Kampala. So in short, this is where we ended up. And of course, we have a workforce of 8,000 people at present. And of course, I forget one more, the business, which is very interesting. We're the largest flower farm in the country. We export about 400,000 roses every day into Europe. So it's a quite varied business. It's a mixture of businesses, and even in real estate, we own offices, we own apartments, apartment hotels, we own warehouses, office buildings. So it's again a mixture of different real estate portfolios. And at any given time, we have 5 new real estate projects going on. So I think in short, that is what we do and where we have come so far. So I think from now on, we are looking at, there's always an expansion program going on. The interesting thing is that all family of mine is fully active in business. Joshna is very active. My son, who's now the group MD, is now quite active as well, and my daughter Shina. My other daughter Mira is married and he lives in Nairobi. But Rajiv, Shina are now working very hard to take over the business in future. Of course, I'll still be around, you know, we never go away. But when the time comes, I'm going to take a back seat and see the transition from my generation into their generation. Now, one of the things that I think we didn't mention is when my great-grandfather came to Mombasa in 1897, and then in 1903, our family reached Uganda. My father was born in Uganda in 1932. I'm born in Uganda in 1956, and my son in Uganda as well. So, you know, we have got 4 generations of family in Africa, except for a little bit of time when I spent in England from 1972 to 1985. So, you know, Africa is very much part of our life, and Uganda is our first home, England is our second home, and then we have a home in Dubai. It's kind of a holiday home. So really, Uganda is a place where it's our home, and we feel we are part of the community, and the community also, you know, has accepted Ruparelia family as part of the community here. So I think that is, for the time being, that's what I have to say. And Lalibai, I'm back to you now.
Okay, thank you, Sudhir bhai. That was absolutely amazing story to hear. And I just made a little note of saying 10 hotels, 300 properties, 3 schools, 1 university. What is your future vision? You've already achieved so much. What is the future? What is it that you are really desiring in the future to be?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Well, you know, for me, the biggest issue for me is to see what we have created now moves on to the family, and that's always the biggest problem. And not only that, but also how to make sure the continuity of what we built, you know, it's safeguarded. Luckily, we don't have inheritance tax in Africa yet, but maybe one day will come. But apart from that, really, most important things to how to see the wealth from one generation to another generation, and they all move on with my vision, and of course they have their own vision as well. So the children, how do they keep my vision and theirs, and of course my wife's vision, and then they amalgamate the whole thing and then move on and keep the family name going. And I think that is the stage we are in. So far it's moving on well, and we just have to make sure that the continuity takes place. One of the things that my wife wants, you know, to do is to make sure that 10% of our wealth is for charity purposes and also for the grandchildren, so that each grandchild must say that it is the grandfathers who paid for their fees, you know, and educated them. That's her wish. Whether the children would want that, we are still on that path.
Sure. So obviously your son and your daughter are sort of the running leads to the Ruparelia group of industries, if I may call it, yes? So they are the ones who are taking your mission forward and introducing their own mission into it.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear now. Yes, of
Yeah.
course, but you know, I'm still very active.
Yes.
And we always sit, and so is my wife. She's also an active member of the company. And And now I have a daughter-in-law who is also around. So she's of course trying to she's just been married 2 years, so she's settling in, and of course in time to come she will play a part.
Sure.
So, but yes, presently we would like to see what my wife wants and the way forward. But by and large, we all discuss issues and then move forward.
Yes, yes. Okay, so let me just take a couple questions that have come in the chat box, Sudhir bhai. There is a question says, it is said that business and politics go hand in hand. Is it true? Has politics played any role in business expansion? What would be your message to the young entrepreneurs of today based on your experience? First of all, let's tackle the political side of it. How involved would one need to be, or how does politics play a part in business, especially in the African countries? Can you hear me, Sudhir bhai?
I can hear you. Well, first of all, I have no interest in politics myself, but on the other hand, you can't detach politics away from business. I don't need to be an elected member of parliament, but of course, we have to keep an eye on to make sure that the laws they're trying to make are business friendly, and we interact with the parliamentary committees, now and again, and put forward our cases to make sure that our viewpoints are taken into consideration. And a lot of times we succeed most of the times. Sometimes we don't. But I think we don't get into a political nature of a country. We're not interested, But where the politics come and get involved into the business side, then we would take part and put our case to them. And I think we have a good system in Uganda. Everybody, members of parliament would listen to sensible suggestions, and we find an amicable situation. Whether it's with taxes or whether any part of that lawmaking is affecting our business policies.
Great. So that answers Salish Bhaish's question that with expanding business empire, do you get harassment? I would say probably not harassment. It's a good discussion you have with them, and then you explain your position to them, and then hopefully things go happy for both ways. So hopefully there's no harassment as such. But moving on, there was another question asked by a lovely lady called Brenda Katira. Brenda asks, she says, if you had to start all over again, what would you do differently?
Well, I think when you see, for every business, there's a time for business to start. And my energies at that level, at those times, were very different. I'm still very energetic. I still walk 4 or 5 miles a day, but I would say the whole dynamics of the world is today changed, and we have to look at the circumstances when you want to start a business and the capital you have. If you are starting a business in England, you need a far more, much larger amount of money to start business today than probably in some part of Africa, or even another third world country in the world. So I think what is relevant is, what is the time, the capital, and the opportunities available. And there's always opportunities available in the third world country. So you have to decide at the time which country to pick. But see, I had an advantage because I grew up in Uganda. And when I came to Uganda, the whole civil servant has lost its infrastructure, sense of working. So everything had been torn apart. civil servants will come to Uganda at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. By 12, he hangs his coat, and by 12, he's gone doing his own business for the rest of the day. Then when the NRM government came in, those things started changing. And of course, Uganda has now really grown in the last 35 years for the better. And of course, when you're in a country like Uganda, you can still come in and there's still opportunities. There are opportunities in manufacturing industry, there are opportunities in tourism, and of course, real estate development is still virgin. So, you have a lot of opportunity. It's a question of how much capital you come with and you start your business. So, you have to pick the time when you're ready to do next level of business. But, one of the most underutilized businesses is in agriculture. Our next opportunity would be into buying 5-6 square miles of land and start agriculture projects.
So is that a tip you would be giving to the listeners today, that that's a good market to get into when they come into Uganda?
Yeah, definitely.
Agriculture.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You see, in future, the world population is around 8 billion people, and it's not stopping. It's going to keep growing. And I think the agriculture would offer a huge opportunity. And we still have a lot of land available in Uganda. So it's something that we are actually seriously moving on to.
Okay. So hopefully all for the viewers, this is a good tip Sudhir is sharing with us. A good industry to go into if you're thinking of doing some business in Africa is going into agriculture. So good. I'm sure you'll start getting a few emails and messages about requiring some assistance in this field, Sudhir. But thank you for sharing that tip. I hope that question is well answered, Brenda. Moving on to the next question, Sudhir. There's a question from Tanzania, actually, from a lovely gentleman, Mr. Sanjay Bairugani. And his question is, of all your achievements, what would you say you are most proud of today?
Well, I think I enjoy the schools that we have. We own 3 different schools. One is an international school where where the diplomats children come and study, apart from the the high-end Ugandan parents and people can afford international education. So it's quite an amazing school called Kampala International School, which offers IGCSE Cambridge certification and IB diploma courses. So that's a pretty good one. And we have an amazing school called Kampala Parents, which it offers a UNEB. This is Uganda National Examination Board syllabus. It's a primary school with 2,200 children. It's one of the finest primary schools in Uganda, or probably the top. And then we have another school which offers CBSE syllabus, which is the Indian national syllabus, one of them. And it's called Delhi Public School International. That's quite also very interesting. So we have 3 different schools, each offering a different different education to different part of the society. And they're all very, very successful. And of course, we have plans to build another 5 schools around Kampala in next 7 years.
All around Kampala?
All around Kampala, and one in Entebbe probably.
Okay, great.
So education is another thing which you can contribute to the society with a growing population. Uganda, interestingly, when most of us left in 1972 at a population of around 9 million people, you won't believe today we are 40 million people. And the population growth of Uganda is 3.5% per annum. I think the fertility rate is very high here. And the population of Kampala is around 4 million children, 4 million people. And on the top of that, every year, we have 1.1 million new babies born in Uganda. You can imagine what's going to happen next 10, 20 years. the pressures everywhere would be education, housing, and jobs. Now, what is interesting is that a lot of you may not know, but Uganda has found a lot of oil, and this oil, the government of Uganda, after 8 or 9 years, negotiated, finalized, and agreed with Total and CNOOC, which is China National Oil Corporation. And I think from August onwards, they start coming, and this year they will sign a final agreement. And you'll see that this country goes to another level. So it's a matter of time once we come out of this COVID era, we will find that hopefully early next year, things will start picking up in this part of the world. So it's something very interesting for any potential investors who may have Uganda in mind, that things are going to change drastically. And, in 5-7 years, Uganda is going to produce about 200,000 barrels a day of oil. On the top of that, Uganda will probably refine 80,000 barrels for consumption in the area, which will cover Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Congo, Rwanda, Burundi, and South Sudan. And then you see, when you have refinery, not only you will have, petrol and diesel as byproduct, but you'll have another 100 byproducts from oil. So you not only have oil industry, but you have 100 major industries cropping up in Uganda in the next 5-7 years. So the opportunity for everyone in different fields is there. So we intend to, yeah.
Thank you for sharing those tips about oil, about agriculture, about housing, and about schooling, because those are 4 main things that you're talking about that will obviously be in great demand as the years go by.
Yes, absolutely. And, we, in 1.5-2 years, you expect about 10,000 expatriates coming in for the oil only. So not only housing, low, middle, and higher end, but you're also going to need a lot of apartment hotels, apartment complexes to house these people.
Okay.
So, it's a whole chain of housing that will be a requirement. And if you get 8,000 to 10,000 expatriates coming for oil industry, you can imagine how many Ugandans they will be employing. And when they employ Ugandans, there'll be much more middle upper class people coming from the oil industries. So their needs will also grow. Education, entertainment, all these things will be a snowball effect on the economy.
So all in all, Uganda looks like a very, very bright future for any investor.
Yes, and in time to come, yes, definitely. Of course, I think next 12 months going to be hard and difficult because the effect of COVID will stay around, not only in Uganda, but I reckon in the whole world. So it's not a new thing to Uganda alone, but we have to go through this next 12 months. They're going to be very hard, very difficult, but we must swim through it.
Brilliant. So moving on, so there's a question that has come up from our mutual friend, Krishna Pujara. And she's asking, please advise what keeps you going. We all know the difficulties successful people go through. Share some tips with people on how to continue during difficult times and what they should and how they should face challenges.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, you see, I'll go a little bit back and say, when I started business, I never really had a goal in life. My only goal in my life was to make sure that we have a good family home, a good business, and I want to make sure that my children go to private schools. That was my initial goal. And, and we worked towards it. And of course, as you fulfill that first part of your life, of filling up your commitment and your immediate dreams. And as you create a surplus cash flow, it's like a game of Lego. You know, if you build a good foundation in any business, anything you do, and as long as the foundation is strong, it doesn't matter. This foundation will let you grow to as high as you can manage to build. So it's not, business is not complicated. You don't have to be, you don't have to have too many, you know, large dreams of vision. I think you put your short-term goal of next 2 years and then review your goal every 2 years. And of course, you know, the most important thing is to, you have to have hunger for success. Not success that you're running out of after money, success to get you every 2-year goal. Once you reach that, then you create a new goal. But if you create a goal which is 10 years ahead of you, you'll never succeed. Most of the times, you know. But you keep your goal, you know, every 2 years, and then you upgrade it and keep on upgrading. And I think then you're putting your goals which are achievable. You can foresee them. But if your goals are too high, it becomes a non-starter. Especially, you know, in Africa, I have a lot of friends or a lot of people said, okay, let's do a feasibility study. To me, you know, feasibility study in Africa, even today, does not make sense. 99% of feasibilities in Africa have never achieved what the figures say. To me, what you need in Africa is for one thing first, is that you need a gut feeling. Gut feeling to say, if I do this, will it work? Second thing, you work out your mathematics of your cost of your development and how much you think you can make on according to your experience. Once you achieve that and you think your margin is what you're looking for, I think go for it. And you see, in Africa, you create a business and then you create demand for it. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. You build your business infrastructure, whether it is schools, with these hotels, or with this apartment hotel, or arcades or shopping malls, you build them. Then you create the demand for it. And that is what has so far worked. If you're in England or a country which is, you know, a stabilized economy for years, you can actually plan those things. But in this part of the world where we are in third world countries, you can't do those things. And most of the time it never works. So we always go from our gut feelings. And then you work out, according to your experience in this part of the world, how much, like I said earlier, how much you're going to invest, how much, and where's the money, whether you can invest yourself or not, and what returns are you going to get. Once you get the percentage of what you expect in this part of the world, go for it. And when you have created a good quality institutions, you cannot go wrong. You can't go wrong. It's very unconventional, but this is how things work here.
Well, thank you for sharing that advice, Krishna, and I hope that answers your question also. Moving on, Sudhir bhai, there's a gratitude coming from somebody who is absolutely a thorough gentleman, Mr. Naresh Bhai and Veena Bin Nagrecha. So gratitude is a big thing that comes from them, saying that thank you for kindly lending us the 1,000 Great British pounds, the capital to start the Rubicon drinks in the United Kingdom. And he absolutely appreciates it. And he says the drink brand Rubicon is now present in over 60 countries, and shows his gratitude to you and says a big thank you. So I know you do a lot of charitable causes, you help people a lot. What are some of the charitable things that you are currently doing besides the schools that you mentioned? What is the other charity work that you do, or the RUPARELIA group of companies do?
Right. Okay, we have a foundation called RUPARELIA Foundation. You can find in the on the Facebook and online. Now, one of the interesting things that my son and my daughter-in-law Nea, what they planned from last year, they built 5 toilets in the ghettos of Kampala, and that is just one of the projects they do. What they actually, the way they are doing it is to use plastic bottles, and they build a toilet wall, and they put plastic bottles in the middle of the in between the bricks and the blocks, and inside the plastic bottle they get old plastics and they put inside and then seal it, because you know plastic takes about 300 years to disappear. You know, it takes 300 years before you can even dispose of plastic. So they're making use of this. Now they're using the same thing to build classrooms in the ghettos for children to study. I think my wife probably educates more than 50 children. We give a lot of bursaries. We support churches. We support mosques, and all kinds of charities. We support a lot of orphanages in Kampala. We also, every month for the last 25 years, we've been having the Hindu ceremony, Hanuman Chalisa, and we feed about 1,200 people for the last 25 years in both the temples. We have SDM in Kampala and also Swaminarayan, and also, funny enough, in Jalaram Mandir in Greenford. The last Saturday of the month, this is we support the lunch there. So and there are many other places. It's unquantifiable. And one of my favorite thing I support is a chimpanzee sanctuary in Uganda. About 20 years ago, I bought them an island and donated the island to them. And then this is a foundation under a famous lady who's probably around 90 years old, called Jane Goodall. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about her. And she has created a sanctuary where all the orphanage chimpanzees are looked after in there. And you see, a lot of the times that lot of the hunters actually kill the mother chimp and then pick up the baby and domesticate it. And then some of them try to export them and they are confiscated at the airport. So now the chimpanzees are lost between the nature where they grew up, and now they have to be supported by human beings. So there are more than 50 chimpanzees in the sanctuaries. It's one of the most wonderful sites that you can go to. So this is one of my favorite things I support. I also adopted a baby called baby RUPARELIA, who's about now 2 years old chimpanzee baby, and it is named after RUPARELIA family. So that's one of my favorite thing. I also sponsored about 10 years ago one of the 2 rhinos which first came into Uganda, and still in Entebbe Zoo. It's called Kabira. Kabira is named after one of my schools. So we are always, wildlife and nature is part of my, something that I love and enjoy. But of course, in schools, and we also support a lot of local schools if they need classrooms or some, libraries or computers. So the whole family believes in that, and they're quite active.
Very good.
So, thank you.
Yeah. So not just human, but also wildlife and nature is what you're protecting.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
Yeah. And one of the things that even I wanted to ask you, and a question that has come up on the chat box, is everybody is inspired by something or someone to progress in life, to do good, to make a goal in life, to achieve it. There is some kind of an inspiration that somebody has, or everybody has. What is that one thing that keeps you going, and what is that one thing that inspires you a lot?
You know, people like Jane Goodall, who has dedicated her life from the day she gave up, um, uh, you know, higher education. She never went to university, but she left England and came to Africa and to look after and study animals. People like that inspire me. You know, people who support nature are the people who I'm inspired by. But really, in businesses, you know, everybody has their own way of doing things in business. So business is something. I guess the only person who really inspired me was the father of Mukesh Ambani, Dhirubhai Ambani. He's probably the only businessman that would inspire me, from where he started and where he ended up, and the rest is all history. But he's one of the person that I would have been inspired with. I watched his movie on his lifestyle called Guru, and one of the most interesting things that I picked up from there was, which even today stands with me, is he said, if you start a business and you have shareholders with you, make sure that your shareholders make money with you. So next time you are going to do business, the question you not ask yourself is, where's the capital coming from? If you go with people who made money with you, your capital will not be an issue. That was very strong thing that I still am attached to, and I always tell this story many times. And the second interesting thing happened where I read about him was that when Anil Ambani wanted to start a telecom company, and he said, he went to his father and said, Dad, I want to start a telecom business. What do you think? So the father said, look, son, the day you get the price of telephone lower than the price of a postage stamp, then you'll be successful. Do you know what it meant, what the statement was? In the olden days, we all used to write letters. And in order to post a letter, we had to put a stamp on an envelope. We still do. Now, the father, look at his foresight. He said, the day you are able to get the price of your telephone call to less than a postage stamp, is the day your telecom will be very successful, because millions and millions of people will be using it. Now, that was a very strong and foresight that I respect, you know. And I think so there are two people I would say that I talk about and I admire.
Yeah, that's an amazing statement you made about Dhirubhai Ambani, that if your shareholders are making money with you, then you don't have to find out for the next venture where the capital is coming from. Because they are also, when you're making money, they're happily making money with you. And it's a you scratch mine, I'll scratch your back kind of thing, and everybody is successful in that venture, which is a great tip to remember. Brilliant, Sudhir bhai, that's amazing. On that note of who inspires you, and you mentioned a couple people, Jane Goodall and Dhirubhai Ambani. Now, are there any motivational books, inspirational books, or anything of that nature that you read? Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you, yes.
Well, I think one of the books that I read, which I enjoyed, was is it Poor Dad? Something to do with Poor Dad.
Poor Dad, Rich Dad?
Yeah, Poor Dad, Rich Dad. And then eventually I met Dr. Kosaki, the author, in London. I think Rajiv's wife's mother is, is very good friend with him, and he attended their wedding. So I think he's one of the guys that in my earlier days, I used to read his books. Of course, and in one of these most sentiment thing is that bricks and mortar is the safest investment in the end. But but other than that, really, I have not read books, but I listen to a lot of videos, but nobody's in particular. I listen to lots of individuals who have a talk show, but really nobody in particular I follow.
And some of the individuals to name, if you may, please.
Well, I don't particularly follow, so I've not kept any particular names in mind. But every talk is, person who talks is different. But even Krishna is another very good orator, and she's quite interesting too. But she's also very strongly involved in the ladies' rights and all that, which is very good.
Yes, yes. Okay, so the other question that comes up to my mind is, through the economical, political, and the financial crisis and the turbulent times that the businesses have gone through the years that you've been in Uganda, what and how did you manage to keep afloat of all this? Because I'm sure businesses have gone up and down, economy has gone up and down, politics have gone up and down. But you remained focused and you remained very missionary to achieve your goals. But how did you do that? Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, first of all, I think from 1986 onwards, we had a very steady government. It's the same leadership who has the same focus in mind. And he's been a very business-friendly leader. When that government first came to power, all of us were very scared that you have a socialist with a communist mentality people who have taken power. But in 3 or 4 years, I think the government realized the only way for the country to succeed is to go the capitalist way. And most of the leaders who took over the country are capitalists by heart anyway. They come from a tradition of cattle keeping, which is a very capitalistic world. And then you end up with a philosophy which is socialist and communist. But the reality in the world at the time was that the Cold War is ending, and either you go the capitalist way or you are nowhere. So in order for the country to succeed, the government of Uganda, and the leadership moved towards capitalism. And I think that has really helped Uganda into a very successful story so far. However, we have grown for the last 30 years. Now, all of a sudden, we have something called coronavirus in front of us.
Yes.
We're at a stage where, when you have a hotel on 90 acres and you have 800 workers working there, and you have 470 rooms, in all these 25, 30 years, it was a growth business, and all of a sudden, you just shut the doors and you don't have anybody occupying your hotel. Yet you have an overhead of $300,000, $400,000 a month. So now we have a scenario where we have a lot of these businesses which are built and ready to operate, yet you don't have customers. And the customers, we don't see it coming for next 12 to 18 months till the airport opens up. And then if people are brave, they will come here. If they come, they have to go through, quarantine for 2 weeks. And maybe by the end of this year, they might open up. But I think we have to leave and sail through. So it's going to be a very costly exercise. But on the other hand, we have other businesses which are beginning to open up. The commercial buildings in town are partly open up. I think by next week they'll open up all the arcades, shopping malls are open. So, you know, we would have one business supporting the other for some time, but, you know, we will manage. Now, what has happened is that we have 8,000 workers. Out of 8,000 workers, you know, we ended up paying salary for March, April, May, and in June. Now we have to lay off over 5,000 people. Unfortunately, it is the most difficult decision for me and my family. However, the survival of business is important, so we can, when things pick up, we can call them back. So those are the hard decisions this COVID-19 is making us do. So it is hardest part for us to lay off people. And you know, in this part of the world, when the government itself is very poor, there's no support. There's not even one iota of support from government here. I think you're very lucky, a lot of you, in Europe and elsewhere. The government supports businesses, employment, this. In this part of the world, there's not even one support. So we have to survive through our own financial means, and we will definitely survive. Okay, one of our biggest advantage in Uganda is that our business in Uganda has no borrowings. But our business in Rwanda and Dubai has a borrowing. So we will, you know, we can just manage. We build up enough reserves and enough capacity to survive this storm. But I pity when people do business on leverage and have to survive. So it's not only this situation for Uganda. This is the whole all over the world, and hundreds and hundreds of businesses are going to go out of business. And you see the whole chain from small businessmen to medium to larger and to big businesses, they're all affected. Once the workers that are laid off, not only us, but hundreds of other companies have done it. In fact, thousands of companies in Uganda have done it. The consuming power of the people is eroded to a level where it is going to affect industries and other institutions. And unless the government, we're trying to talk to government to show them a way of stimulating the economy, but of course the government itself has a lot of its own issues of looking for money. They need to survive as well. So it's a very hard decision in third world. Now see, rewards are higher, risks are higher in third world or in Africa. But you know, as a group, we will survive all this, and we are ready for the next level of growth. You know, and when the business pick up 12 months, 15 months, we'll still be around. But I just feel very sorry and unfortunate that the people who are laid off and the people who suffer are always the poor people. Unfortunately, we've done what we could within our own principles and the law, but it is important for the businesses to survive so they can absorb them again tomorrow. You know, so it's the saddest part of my life and my family's life that we have to take this decision. But what can we do? It's business have to survive so we can get back on our feet. But by and large, we will survive and grow into bigger things.
Times are a little turbulent, Sudhir bhai. I think it's a global thing. That time is going to be very turbulent, and the fittest will survive. But obviously, for a better tomorrow and to re-employ all those who lose their jobs currently. And we can only pray that that situation arises very quickly, that they can all come back. So yeah, times are very difficult. Moving on to your, the time is running very fast, and I have got quite a few questions I want to ask you. But I must ask you a couple questions that have come up. And a very interesting question has come up is about healthcare. How is healthcare in Uganda? And this is a Mr. Ramesh Chutai asking. How is the healthcare in Uganda in the light of the explosion of the population, number one, and what is the future of healthcare business in Uganda?
Very good question. You know, we in Uganda, we've had lots of hospitals have mushroomed and clinics have mushroomed over the last 10, 15 years. We still don't have the best medical care. There's still an opportunity for an investor to come and invest in a high-class hospital, which can offer all kinds of specialty treatments. But of course, what we have now in Uganda, it also, you know, we get by. It may not be the best, but if there's an emergency, we can get by. The hospitals can cope. But also government and aid agencies have funded our national hospital called Mulago. And you'd be surprised, but in Mulago Hospital, even have got machines which put stents in your body, you know, in your heart or on your veins and something. So they are capable of doing that, and you know, it's happening. But still very weak, still an opportunity for a 5-star hospital. But really, if there's an emergency, we can get by, not any issue. And you see, Ugandans are very educated people, and very talented. So we have really good doctors. Of course, the majority of Ugandans who qualify in Uganda as doctors end up going abroad for greener pastures and end up doing getting good jobs abroad. But there are also others who stay behind and make a successful career out of their doctorship. So yes, we still don't have the best, but for emergency purposes and things like that, it's good. My local dentist is amazing. He's got the latest equipment you find in a dentist lab in London. You find them in Uganda. Brilliant. So it's pretty good. It's improving all around, and it will continue improving. And of course, you know, we have a large number of middle class who have grown in this country with a good disposable income, and that will also attract a lot of investors in the medical field.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that, Sudhir, and I hope that answers the question. The next question comes from a gentleman called Ranjit Singh, and he says, Dr. Sudhir, what makes you so positive and possible to maintain that level of positive energy that you have, even after the worldwide pandemic, and being a hotelier, which has got the biggest hit after the aviation industry? How do you keep your positivity and your positive energy?
Hello?
Yes.
Well, I think, hello? I think what is interesting is that never give up. And
I think the internet is being frozen there. There is the screen that has just frozen, so thereby
that you were used to in hotel.
The network seems to be a little bit poor, or the Wi-Fi bandwidth. Can we hear you? I think you're frozen there. Okay, now I believe Sudhir Bhai's internet connection seems to be giving a little bit of an issue. I'm just going to go on a full screen, just a gallery screen. Can everybody hear me? Can we just give a big wave to say everybody can hear? Brilliant. So people can hear us. I think it is Sudhir Bhai's screen or the network at that end, which doesn't seem to be working really well. Is that correct? Does everybody see him as a frozen screen? Yeah. So let's see if Sudhir Bhai can hear us. Sudhir Bhai, can you hear us? Then we can get you back. I think we have lost his connection. Yes, frozen screen. Thank you. Thank you. I'm getting some chat box messages that, yeah, the screen is frozen. Look, we'll try to get Sudhir Bhai back. Minaben, if you're working on that, just give me a thumbs up when Sudhir Bhai actually comes back on. But what an inspiring talk. There were a few questions I had that were personal in terms of not business related, but let's hope we get him back in the next few minutes so that we can actually get those questions answered. Some of them are very home-like questions, like what is his favorite pastime besides business and things like that. So, and what is his favorite hobby? I understand he's recently become a vegetarian and loves cooking. So let's wait to hear from him if he can share some pastimes with his own personal life. I think I've got a message here. We've lost both Sudhir Bhai and Joshna Ben's internet connection, and hopefully they're able to log in again. Maybe Meena Ben, if you can just give him a quick call to find out what's going on, and then we can move on with that. But you know, he's shared some amazing, inspirational talks that have really enlightened the audience, enlightened me in many a way, whereby we can pick up some tips. And just before we lost him, he said, never give up. And this is the best policy that all motivational speakers, inspirational speakers will share with us. Tell us that if you have a goal in mind, do not lose sight of that goal. Keep going, keep going. Here we have Joshna Ben pulled the internet connection, time for dinner. We've got somebody making a joke here that the internet connection was pulled from Sudhir Bhai's junction box because it was dinner time over there and Joshna Ben has a strict dinner time. I think that's quite a joke. So not a problem. We are going to wait and see if they can come back on because I believe sometimes the electricity just may drop off, and that is a problem. And in Kampala as well, there is a little bit of a problem, no power. So could be the internet, it's not the power. Okay, thanks, Obam, Andrew. That's very
he's on his way. I spoke to him.
Uh-huh.
Internet problem, he's on his way.
He's on his way. Thank you, Meena Ben.
Definitely not for dinner.
Okay, definitely not for dinner. Okay, do we have Mr. Sudhir Bhai Ruparelia's son? He was going to log in, I believe. Is he logged in? I believe he was. If he has logged in, would you kindly announce yourself that you are? Just give me a chat box sign that you are on, and then we can just spotlight you.
Sudhir Bhai is coming in.
Okay, good. Sudhir Bhai, kya khoa gaya? Where are you?
Coming. Coming. Yeah, he's joined.
Okay. Hello, Sudhir Bhai. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yes. Yeah. Now we have to unmute him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sudhir Bhai, please unmute yourself.
Can we unmute him from our end?
Yeah, we have done it.
Okay, good. Thank you, Rina. Thank you for informing that he's on. Rina Kotak, thank you very much. Meena Ben, he's on, right? I can't.
He's coming. Yeah, we have to ask him 1 minute.
Yes.
He has to unmute himself now. We have already unmuted.
Okay.
Okay, you see him?
Yeah.
Technology is all fun.
Yeah, he's there.
Okay. Let's see where he is. Sudhir Bhai, where are you? Unmute yourself and let us have you on screen so we can spotlight you again, so that all the viewers can actually see where you are. Sudhir Bhai, are you on?
Can you see me?
Aha, there you go. Absolutely.
Right.
Sudhir Bhai,
you
you're
hear
on
me?
now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We just thought that
Hello?
Joshna can maybe pull the plug and dinner time take you. No?
First of all, I'm very sorry. You know, this is the welcome to Africa. So our internet went out. but it's back now. And I think, so I think you asked me the next question now.
The next question was, yeah, because we're running short of time and there are some important questions that I really want to get through you and get some answers from you. One of the questions that came up on the chat box, and I can't go back on the chat box because there's, I think, a few away, so I can't name the person, but they said, who is your spiritual guru? Who do you follow?
Well, I don't have anybody in particular, but I talked to 2 or 3 of them, and I always compare one with the other. I believe in the Kundali and my astrology, but I don't rely on one person. I talk to 2 or 3 people and then compare and then decide what is the best thing for me.
Sure. And would it be too much a public knowledge to ask a question like that as to who those 1 or 2 or 3 people would be?
Yes, okay, there's one in Tirupati, it's called Gurudev, and he's got his own ashram there. One is, we call him Vijay Maharaj, who is in Mansar, but lives in Rajkot. And there's another guru called Vijay Bhai, who's from Surat. So I talk to each one of them, well, at least 2 on a regular basis. Sure. And, you know, it's quite interesting.
I think that's very
part
nice
of our heritage.
And that particular question actually has come up on the chat box, was asked by Mr. Hasubhai Savjani. Hasubhai, thank you for bringing that up. That's very kind. And Sudhir Bhai, moving on to the next question is, I have recently, well, I was doing some research on you and I only knew one person. Well, I know many people who know you, but one person who I could pick up the phone and call her and ask her, can tell me one thing about Sudhir Bhai that I would love to share him and probably give him a little bit of a shock, is that it's not a shock to the people. You're a very, very good cook. I understand. And that was shared that you have recently also become a vegetarian. And you cook good food. So your Vevan, Shyama Kotecha, actually told me that you are an amazing cook and you make excellent vegetarian dishes. Has Sudhir Bhai gone frozen again? Yes, it seems like he has a frozen again, Minabin. Any news from his side at all? Yeah, I think his screen is frozen again. And we are trying to see if he can come back online. So we'll continue our conversation. But I think, Minabin, any news at all?
I think he's going to log again.
Okay, so
we'll
give him a couple minutes. And viewers, we are so very thankful to you that you've joined us today in this amazing story from rags to riches. And we wanted to conclude with Sudhir Bhai by him sharing us the 3 most important tips he would share with the audience, with the entrepreneurs who are actually striving to become good, successful business people. What are the 3 tips that he would share with us to make sure that we can strongly hold on to them and go for our future, which we have to, which is obviously in this current pandemic time, it is a little difficult and turbulent, but we do not want to lose the sight of our goal. So we're going to ask him as to how we can actually keep these 3 points in our mind and move ahead. And I thank all the chat box messages. Krishna Ben, thank you for saying that. Lots of people are watching this on Facebook. Absolutely. We really, really like that this message is spreading. And we are absolutely proud of our Lohana brother who's done so magnificently well in life and is also willing to share his knowledge with us so that we can all become successful also. I think going back to the discussion, he shared some amazing tips that if any budding entrepreneurs or business people are wanting to do some businesses in Uganda, agriculture is a good one, schooling is a good one, Housing is a good one. And last but not the least, he was talking about if you've got enough capital to do some good hospitals over there. And I think due to the ever-growing population, I think these businesses would do absolutely well. And I'm sure Sudhir Bhai, knowing him, has shared a lot of information and would be willing to give us more tips on how to, and the know-how, the do-it-all over there if he were to be approached. So you know what? This is amazing that he's been able to share all the secrets with us. And we thank him for that. Obviously, he's taken his valuable time and given us all this information. Meena Ben, what's the update? Meena Ben, I can't hear you. So if you unmute yourself, then I would know.
Yeah, he's joining.
He's joining. Okay.
We're going to unmute him very soon.
Absolutely. Mr. Ranjit Singh, Mr. Bhupendra Jetwa, thank you for all your feedback. Daksha Raitata from Calgary, thank you for your feedback. Thank you for Meena Ben, thanks goes to you for hosting it. And thank you for praising my MC ceremony. Thank you very much. And Sudhir Bhai, absolutely, he's one of the best.
Is he the same one? No? Here, this one. We are unmuting him now.
Okay, good.
In fact, Sudhir Bhai and Sudhir Bhai Thobani both came together.
Okay, so we will take both Sudhir Bhais. We'll take RUPARELIA and we'll take
want to
Thobani.
Unmute him. Ask him to unmute. I can tell him.
Sudhir Bhai, if you can unmute yourself, that would be good. And so that we can hear you. You are unmuted from our side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, Sudhir Bhai.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, we are on. Brilliant. We are back again.
Thank you. Right. I think we're talking about food and me being a vegetarian. About 16 months ago, I became a vegetarian, and actually I feel a lot healthier. I feel better. I don't miss non-vegetarian food. And the other thing is, yes, I enjoy cooking. I cook, vegetarian as well as non-veg. So anytime we ever meet and have an opportunity, I love to cook for all of you when we meet.
Sudhir Bhai, we are definitely meeting. When can I come?
Anytime. You're most welcome, even today. So
Thank you. Thank you so much. And this was a little secret about yourself that was revealed to me by Shyama. Shyama, your Vevan.
Vevan, yes. Hi.
Shyama, Shyama is obviously from Kisumu, and that is where I'm originally from too. So a good friend of mine.
Oh, brilliant.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah. So lovely. Sudhir Bhai, you've shared amazing tips. Joshna Ben, you're always standing beside him, and nice to see you there. So thank you for all those tips that you've shared. But we would love to, we don't want to end this, but time has come to an end to end this show. But what are the 3 most important messages that you would leave us, the audience, with? And I've just heard that this is actually being viewed very much all over the globe live on Facebook. So there are so many viewers across the globe. What are the 3 tips that you would want to share with us, the viewers and the people on Zoom seminar, and personally for myself to take home? The 3 tips, please.
Well, I think, first of all, one of the most important things in life is to be happy, to make sure that you have a very healthy life. And I think, and be a good human being. Be good to mankind and your fellow friends and people that you associate with. I think it's very important. And I think the wealth and the power should not be something where you should build a wall between yourself, and you shouldn't become an island. You should be part of the human race.
Thank you. I've taken those 3 tips, which before we lost the internet connection, you mentioned never give up, be happy, and be a good human being. to mankind. So those are the 3 tips I would love to share with the audience today, and take this home message, that is, never give up, be happy, and be a kind human being. Sudhir bhai, thank you so much for sharing that. It's been an amazing journey today from rags to riches. I really want to thank you for giving us your valuable time that you have spent with us all the way from Uganda. Time zones are different. So many people from different time zones have logged in. So a massive thank you to all of them, from Kisumu to Kenya to Uganda to Singapore to Canada to Europe to England. It's been a global audience that we've had today, and you've shared some amazing tips. So once again, thank you. Thank you, Joshna Ben, for always being there with him. And nice to see you in the background there too. Thank you to your family also. I had a little exchange of messages with Ravi, your son-in-law, on Facebook. So I'm sure they're all joined in and hoping that they've all enjoyed today's show, and such a proud father for them. And a big salute actually goes to your father, Gentilal Bhai and Kamu Ben, for having such a child who's become such a huge thing in the business community. So Bhai, thank you very much from my side, Lalit Soda. And I'm now going to ask the president of the Hindu Council, Nakuru branch, Sailesh Bhai Sheth, to say a few words of vote of thanks to you. And then obviously our lovely lady Meena Ben will also be saying a vote of thanks to you. So thank you from my side, Sudhir Bhai. Thank you very much. It's been a great pleasure interviewing with you.
I also want to thank every one of you who I can see on the screen. You know, Vasant Bhai, Odedra, Ashish, Jack Nagrecha, Mr. Ruparelia from Malini, Jagubai, Chandarana, Neil, Kenneth Parmar, Ramesh Bhai, very serious, Daksha Hati, you know, all of you, please forgive me if I don't name you, but Datani, Prakash Bhai, Rasik Bhai, Naresh Nagrecha, Daksha, Shama Kotecha, Mrs. Madhwani. So and of course the organizers, I want to thank you before I get an opportunity. I want to thank Sailesh Bhai for organizing the show, and to this very, very special lady, Meena Ben Kagram, who has really done so well in coordinating the whole thing. And definitely Dr. Lalit Soda, you have been an amazing person. You know, despite your heavy schedules, you always try to keep in touch. And you know, and to make this thing possible with all the information you required. Thank you so much. And also Sanjay Adya, thank you. So really, is Sanjay Thakur, Chairman Executive Lowana Kampala. So I want to thank all of you really, really for taking time from your busy schedules to be with this this evening. But also, I must talk about Mr. Vasant Bhai Lakhani. He is also an amazing human being who's dedicated his life to mankind. You know, whether every year he comes to Uganda to serve the people of Uganda with his, you know, with a team of doctors to serve people in the rural areas. Every year he comes here, and also he goes to India. But I know more of him from Ugandan side. It's an incredible thing that they do, and really. But thank you all of you, Lalit Bhai and Meena Ben and Sailesh Bhai. It's been quite an honor. And look what an audience. We have people from Canada, from even Ramesh Bhai Chota is here from Canada, and so many other people. States, Canada, India, Popat is there from India. People from all over the world. So it's an incredible combination of people. And of course, I mustn't forget my friend Andrew Obam, who is also around, I can't see him now, he's probably gone, but he's a lawyer in Uganda and he's also been here throughout. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sudhir Bhai. After Sailesh Bhai, a vote of thanks from your behalf, please.
Sudhir Bhai, Josnaben, on behalf of the Hindu Council of Nakuru and all the friends who have joined in today during this Zoom chat, we thank you very, very much for accepting our invitation to be the guest and give us imparting words. You're inspirational, and they were very inspirational and very motivational. And I'm sure they'll go a long way in the entrepreneurs coming up and how to set their future in their businesses. We are also very thankful that in probably all the Zoom chats which I've gone through, you are one of the most clear person with a clear heart who has opened up completely about the business opportunities which are there in Uganda. And I'm sure if there are any entrepreneurs who want to set up business in Uganda, I will channel them through you because I know you will guide them properly. We just through Lalit Bhai, we came to know that you are a good Karoga cook. So on behalf of myself and Minabeni and the others in Nakuru, we really invite you to Nakuru so we can have a long chat and you can probably cook us food here in Nakuru, and I'm sure we'll enjoy the vegetarian food that you'll do for us. So thank you very much. Our invitation is open. Please do make a point of coming here, and thank you and very much for joining. Thank you and good night.
Sailesh Bhai, thank you. Thank you very much, Sailesh Bhai. And now off for a final vote of thanks to the lady of the evening also, a lady who consistently works hard with all her energy. At 75, she's hosting and managing a Zoom seminar and absolutely doing a brilliant job. Meena Ben, we'd love to, yeah, you've unmuted. So please, a vote of thanks for Sudhir Bhai.
First of all, ladies and gentlemen, did you enjoy or you didn't? I'm
Absolutely
sure you
enjoyed.
all enjoyed. Yes, I can see some fingers. On behalf of Lalit Bhai and myself, I would like to thank Hindu Council, Sailesh Bhai. Thank you, Ellie, my assistant. You can, he's wearing a tie today because it's a business meeting.
Hi, everyone.
And and my very, very big thank you to Sudhir Bhai. Only I know him for 7 days.
Thank you.
And I don't think I know fully. I have to ask just now who I know better. But it was very, very nice working with you. Very nice. I tell you, straightforward, professional, and no jug. Lalit Bhai, you are the backbone of this journey. My journey without journey. What else can I say? I really tired and really excited to see you. We'll still keep in touch. As Sailesh Bhai said, please come to Nakuru. And as in between you said, next time. So we'll call you again one day. Thank you very much again. Thank you. Don't go away. We will see everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much. May I say, there were many, many chat box messages that came through to say a big hello, congratulations, Sudhir Bhai, you've done very well. Darshna bin Kotecha, then there is Reena Kotak. There's several people who've sent messages. If you get a chance, if you can pop in through the chat box, that would be great. Everybody has sent good wishes and congratulations to you, to your family, and to Joshna Ben. So a happy evening. Once again, thank you very much. And a